Deep sleep and ignorance. Why don't I know myself in deep sleep? In deep sleep, you are all alone. In that stage, you can never split yourself into two, one part knowing the other. You had no knowledge even of yourself there. Hence, you can never know that when you are that. See that either end of your sleep is saturated with the thought of your real nature, your native home. Is there ignorance in deep sleep? No. The absence of any objective perception, thought, or feeling, which is wrongly called nothingness, is the swarupa, the true nature of real unconditioned happiness. Here, happiness alone is the positive experience in deep sleep, and the sense of nothingness is a relative inference when out of it. Thus, there is in fact no ignorance in deep sleep. The ignorance of truth is the knowledge of objects, gross or subtle. To know any object means not to know the truth. From the knowledge of an object, if the object part is discarded, what remains is pure knowledge alone, jnana, which is the essence and the background of all objects as well as myself. The jnana of any one object may also be said to be the ignorance of all other objects. And in that sense, the jnana or knowledge of truth and happiness in deep sleep can also be said to be the ignorance of all objects. Thus, happiness alone is the experience in deep sleep. Definitions. Can you define will and ego and svarupa? What is will? Will is that volition appearing just before every activity. It is, in essence, desire itself. It is one of the manifested forms of the mind itself, forming the lowest link between the subtle and the gross spheres. It is thinking in terms of the needs of the lower self. The different manifestations of mind, according to the Western system, are called mind, reason, will, and egoism. But according to the Eastern system, they are mind, intellect, will, and ego. An ego is a spurious entity, apparently personating the I principle, always after the activity. Swarupa, the true nature of anything, is the highest generalization of that thing and is the reality itself. The true nature of a thing, looked at from a relatively high plane, goes this way. Swarupa is that which maintains or keeps the identity of the thing. It is that upon which the identity of a thing essentially depends. It is the essence of a thing or the thing in itself, which underlies all phenomenal attributes. That general background is one and indivisible, and so it cannot have parts. It is that which remains, even after the removal of all the attributes heaped upon it by your mind and senses. And this is pure consciousness. Relatively, it can be also said that the swarupa, or true nature of a thing, is the same as its immediate material cause. For example, the true nature of the table may be said to be wood, and that of wood may be said to be the panchabhuta, the five elements. Thus, tracing it to its irreducible source, we reach the same ultimate true nature of man, pure consciousness. So body does not go into the true nature of a man. Senses do not go into the swarupa of man. Therefore, when all that do not go into the true nature are taken away, what still remains is the true nature of man. Thus, man is swarupa, true nature. Tree is swarupa, and that is pure consciousness. Can you speak of relativity? Relativity, according to science and in ordinary parlance as well, is only between objects themselves. But according to Vedanta, relativity is only between the subject and the object. Without the subject's perception, there can never be an object. Happiness is something that transcends the mind. It expresses itself in pleasure. If the mind part is taken away from pleasure, it becomes happiness itself. Pleasure is something that pertains to the realm of the mind. Personality rests with body, senses, and mind. If you think you are impersonal, if you feel you are impersonal, and if you act knowing that you are impersonal, you are impersonal. Space is the genetic form of objects, and time is the generic form of thoughts. What is beauty? Beauty is personalized when you perceive it, but in itself, beauty is an expression of the absolute, Brahman. It is harmony itself and is not perceivable. Knowing beauty as purely impersonal, it can never tempt you, even when personalized. Truth and beauty are one. When the ego tries to see beauty in the beautiful, both get transformed into the beyond and become beauty itself. By seeing that something is beautiful, you see really that you are beauty itself. For example, you say, "The boat is beautiful," but do you see anything other than wood? No. Then where is the beauty? Certainly it is in the seeing, which is illumined by consciousness. So consciousness is beauty itself. You say that you know and that you love another. Knowledge in the relative sphere is becoming one with another with one's intellect. Love is becoming one with another with one's whole being. So love is relatively deeper, and deeper knowledge is love. Direct perception is silent knowing. Language is the art of concealing thought. Thought is the art of concealing truth. Transcending or giving up language and thought together with their samskaras, the habit-driven inclinations and tendencies, you reach the truth directly. Bondage is the conviction that the object remains over after every experience of knowledge or peace. And liberation is the conviction that not even a trace of the object remains over after every such experience. What is the infinite and how to understand it? The infinite is a conception invented only for the purpose of lifting you from the conception of the finite. Thus, reaching the infinite, you find yourself even beyond it. When one thing is explained and disposed of, the opposite also is automatically explained and disposed of. What is rasa? Rasa is that something which descends into the heart and is experienced by the heart. For rasa means sap or juice, and hence it indicates the essence or the essential savor of the feeling or experience. Conviction comes in when what is said has been grasped. Satisfaction comes in when what is desired has been gained. Pleasure exists only in relation to its opposite, pain, and they are both enjoyed by the mind. But happiness is beyond the mind. Intuition comes in when your mind is expanded in time and you consequently become an expanded jiva. But you should remember that your misery also is equally expanded. Intuition is the highest expansion of the lower reason, still remaining within the realm of the mind. Higher reason is the essence of the lower reason. It is connected always with the impersonal, and the lower reason is connected always with the personal alone. Logic, beauty, and harmony are all the true nature of Atma, the self, viewed from different angles of vision. Real renunciation is the employment of consciousness part in every perception knowingly. And by this practice, the material part gradually gives way and the consciousness part grows. This alone is real renunciation. Causality comes in to establish relationship between objects, but it has been proved that every object is related only to its background of consciousness. Therefore, two objects cannot exist simultaneously, and so causality is not. The hold of time and space and causality upon the ordinary man is so strong that he is not prepared to spare even the ultimate reality from the dictates of time, space, and causality. The phenomenal means that which is changing, and all change is in time, space, and causality. What do you perceive? You can perceive only reality. Unreality can never be perceived. Reality is in the senses and beyond the senses as well. But what about life? You have three kinds of life, each distinct and separate from the rest. A physical life confined to activities of the body and perceptions of the senses. a mental life confined to thoughts and feelings, and a self-life, or the life of the self, Atma, being experience alone. The first two lives are known to all, but you do not often know or know that you have it a self-life, or a life of the self. Desire. Desire always shows want, and this again shows your imperfection. So until you become perfect, desire is sure to torment you. Then examine more clearly what desire points to. Desire always points to happiness, and it has been proved to you that when a desired object is gained, there is desirelessness for a short time. The mind comes to rest and happiness dawns. So, strictly speaking, desire is directed to desirelessness, because it is that desirelessness which brings in happiness. But what is the goal of all desires, of desirelessness? Though desire is a prelude to worldly pleasure, yet you enjoy pleasure only when that desire ceases. That is, when you reach the stage of desirelessness. Your desire for the object causes your body and mind to be incessantly active in order to get the object, and the activity continues until you achieve your object. But when once the desired object is achieved, the activity, having no other object, naturally ceases. The body and senses get relaxed, and the mind refuses to function. At this stage, you are absolutely desireless. It is then that your real nature of happiness shines by itself. Soon after, when your mind begins to function again, you connect the happiness experienced with the preceding object. Happiness dawned only when desire changed into desirelessness. The goal of all desire is happiness. Since happiness is achieved only by desirelessness, desirelessness is the goal of all desires. What about the desire to know or feel the truth? It is admitted that on listening to the truth from the lips of the Guru, you realize your real nature at once, but you will not know it or feel it. The desire to know that you have so realized, or the desire to feel it, is the highest imaginable illusion. Because in order to know anything, the knower has to stand higher than the known. Therefore, if you presume that you know or feel that you have realized the truth, you are still in duality. And what you presume to know is imperfect, and as such, it can never be the truth. You are ever that truth, before, during, and after the realization claimed. As far as the truth, which is your real nature, is concerned, there had been no change whatsoever in all time. It may be said that a jnani knows that he has visualized the truth. But yes, this is true, but not in the sense of knowing at the mental level as you might desire. He knows that it is unknowable by the mind, but he knows it in an intenser light, where there is no subject-object relationship. To know in that light is to be. The ego in the mental realm is innocent and ignorant of all that has happened above his head. But he too feels that something sublime has happened, and naturally he wishes to have a taste of it in his own realm. Hence the ego's desire to know that experience and his subsequent unwarranted claim to have had that experience in his own limited terms. That has to be guarded against. In one sense, it may be said that a jnani or sage alone knows a jnani. This does not mean any recognition on the mental level as understood by the ordinary man. From another point of view, it is also true to say that even a jnani can never know another jnani, because jnani and jnana, knowledge itself, are the same. And jnana, which is indivisible, can never be divided into subject and object, or as knower and known. Any desire or effort to know the truth will certainly taint your visualization of truth. To that extent, an effort amounts to desire. Both of them posit their own standards. The result will only be judged by such limited standards of satisfaction as are directed by the preceding effort or desire. So what can I desire? Nothing. Desire shows want, and that shows your own imperfection. But you are consciousness, which is by nature perfect, and you cannot desire to know anything else, there being nothing else besides consciousness. Again, you are peace or happiness itself, which is perfection, and you cannot desire to have any other happiness, there being nothing else beside happiness or your own real nature as pure consciousness. What is that atmic or self urge? Unconditional freedom, deathlessness, knowledge, and true happiness. They are your very nature. These surge up as the desire in the embodied man to become free, to defy death, to know everything, and above all, to be happy. But no embodied being can possess any of these qualities in full. So is every desire an obstacle to truth? Every desire rises in duality, and so is generally considered an obstacle to truth. But there are some exceptions. Desire for freedom or for mukti, liberation, are not obstacles. Freedom is the characteristic of the real I principle, consciousness. So by desiring freedom, the desire together with the ego merges into the I principle, and you rest in peace. Mukti or liberation is selflessness. So to desire mukti is also to desire selflessness, and that can never be selfish. So how to view desires as to make them a help to spiritual progress? Desire is always for an object, and its goal is happiness. Thus, an object is only the means, and happiness is the goal. The ignorant man perceives and emphasizes only the means, that is, the objects, and awaits happiness as a necessary corollary. One does not get enriched by this sort of enjoyment of happiness. But the spiritual aspirant takes an entirely different approach. First, he understands from the Guru that happiness, the goal of all desires, is one's own real nature, and he directs his attention to the goal, even in the case of happiness, which appears limited by objects. He notes with satisfaction that the limited happiness expresses itself not when the desired object is gained, but only after it is lost or forgotten. Therefore, he is not disappointed like a layman, even when the desired object is sometimes not obtained. This practice of emphasizing the disappearance of the object as the necessary prelude to the expression of happiness gradually helps him to cling to the goal, which is objectless happiness, his own real nature. Therefore, desire, if viewed in the right perspective, is a great help to one's spiritual advancement. All the trouble creeps in only when the ultimate goal is forgotten and the means itself considered as the goal. So desire you may, but only don't forget the goal. Destruction. Self-forgetfulness is the cause of the creation of the world, and self-remembrance or withdrawal into the self is the destruction of the world. How is it that Shiva is called the destroyer? The function of the faculty called higher reason is only to destroy all that the lower reason or mind has created. Therefore, this higher reason or vidya vritti is verily the destroyer, Shiva himself. But what is real destruction? The destruction of an object really means the disappearance of the object without its leaving any trace, even as an idea. This is never possible in the physical or mental realms. But in the worldly sense, destruction only means disintegration in any manner. Yoga and devotion accept the latter interpretation of the term, and they strive to destroy the mind by purifying or expanding it, keeping on the separateness once and for all. You can never destroy a thing by anything like cleaning, correcting, or mending it in the same level. This is why yoga and devotion fail to destroy the mind and lead one only to a state of peace limited by time. For real destruction is achieved only by jnana, true knowledge, or Vedanta, not objectively but subjectively, by eliminating the sense of duality once and for all, and thus seeing the object as nothing but your own self.